Hello, hello. So this is going to be a little bit of a hamstringy type of stretch, kind of floor bar, but less real ballet technique focus, more just focus on the stretch and just some functional movement patterns, I guess. A lot of it inspired by Martha Graham technique with little tiny contractions that kind of give you more range for a spinal twist as well. So there'll be some spine twisting, a little bit of spine work, being able to recover from a contraction to a flat back, and built in, of course, all the hamstring stuff, and a few other zones that I'll hit along the way. So let's get started. First things first, I'm going to do a quick standing stretch. Cat visitors, as always. It's a must in my class. So we'll do a little standing, not stretch, a little mobility thing first. So from standing, we'll take 2 counts to do like a halfway roll down, and then back up, twice through like that, halfway down, halfway up. Then 4 counts to roll through your head, 4 counts to roll your shoulders a couple times. Then we'll do a full roll down all the way to the ground or as low as you can reach. 4 counts all the way down, 4 counts all the way up. When we get to the top, perhaps we'll take a little rise and lower, press the arms down. Alright, so let's do it. Let's start standing. Sorry if my head is cut off by the camera a little bit. No worries there, as long as you can see the main stuff that's going on. Let's start feet hip width apart or a little bit wider if that's comfortable for you. And here we go. Little halfway rolls first. Go down for 1, 2, and back up. 2, and again down. 2. You can always take a soft knee bend if you need it. Let's roll the head 4 counts. 1, nice and slow. 2, 3, 4. Then shoulders 1, 2, 3, 4. And all the way down for 1, 2, 3, take your time, head heavy, neck long, and then rebound, roll it all the way back up. 2, 3, 4, and when you arrive there, let's take a big scooping rise. So shoulder blades are riding down your back, and then press back to start. Again, ready, let's go for a head. 2, and back up. 4. One more, head. 2, and bring it back up. 4. Let's roll the head the other way this time. 2, 3, 4. And then roll all the way down. 2, 3, head heavy, neck long. 4, rebound, up. And then go ahead and take your rise all the way up and lower it down. Alright, sweet. Let's take the feet turned out a little bit. Do a couple of little pliés here just to get us going. So no particular arms here. Just finding your hip mobility and working through all the creaks and cracks. Doesn't have to be deep yet. Just to get going here. Alright, find little bounces here. They don't have to be at the maximum range, just little bounces. What we're going to do from here is we're going to take a little bounce in this position, and then we're going to twist to a side lunge here. And you can stay quite lifted through your back if you want to, or if you want to make it a little bit more dancey for yourself, go ahead and tuck under and create that big, huge contraction here. And then recover. You can wave with your arms as much as you want to or need to if you need some more extra, dancey action. So let's go ahead and find this position. We'll do 2 bounces here and then we'll take your side position. So go bounce 1, 2, here. Back to center, other side. Keep going. And if you need to take a break, go ahead and pause, take a break. Alright, let's keep going. 2 more sets. You can change it up second time if you want to. Okay, arrive back to center, stretch, take a rest, take a pause, take your toes forward, and reach arms from flat back. So try to keep your head in line, stretch out the skin on the back of your neck so that neck is nice and straight, arms are extending front. Hover in this position for a second before you let it fall down. Then go ahead and shake your head out. Relax your neck and shoulders. And let's take a couple of knee bends here, so bend, and then stretch. Again, bend, and stretch. One more bend, and then roll it all the way up, stretch. Okay, take your toes out a little bit. We're just going to do a couple of stretches here, so the sequence is going to be stretch over to the side first. You can reach arms over here. You can take an arm down to your leg, whatever works. Just find this big extension. Okay, we'll go here for a second. Then we'll come up and reset this into a flat back. So again, neck is in line. It's exactly the same as this position here, but now it's kind of to the diagonal. You can take fourth position arm or just extend here. Your choice. We'll take this guy for a little bit, then we'll come down to your ankle, drop everything down, again, neck long. We'll bring it through center, plie, and roll it up, and we'll do the second side. So here we go, let's start. Reach over. And then reset into your flat back, reach. Pull out and away from center, and go ahead and take everything down toward the ankle. Relax the shoulders. Bring everything to center. Take your time here to roll it up. And then reset to go to the other side. This is all open for your hip movement here, so go ahead and shift your hips if you want to as we go into this stretch. Then reset, let's take that flat back over to the diagonal on this side. We keep trying to pull up the sits bones behind you and then drop everything down toward the ankle. And then bring it to center. Take your time here, plie through, roll it up. All right, we're going to do one more series in these kind of positions. We're going to bypass the flat back. So we're going to go cycle through. These are not stretches that you're going to hit for too long. You're just going to keep trying to transition and move through the positions. So your stretches may look a little bit different than mine, depending where your mobility is. Doesn't matter. We're just kind of flowing through them. So the positions we're going to go through are our side stretch, bypass the flat back, go all the way down to ankle. We'll twist around to come to a lunge this way. Barely get there. We're going to walk hands forward, transfer your weight to here. And if this isn't accessible for you, you can always take this just through standing. Your choice. Doesn't matter. You can take a little bit of a bend on one side. If you're going all the way down, we're going to do one leg here, making sure toes and knees are up toward the ceiling, so you're not twisting unnecessarily through this area. Walking over to the other side. Then transition yourself to the lunge on the opposite side. And you can scoot your feet around wherever you need to get back to your kind of triangle position. And then swing it around. Make sure this leg comes back to our turned out start. Alright, so these ones down here, they don't have to be down on the floor. You can, of course, just lift your bum up and hold here and then transition walk yourself over here. Just getting a little bit of weight into your hands. So ready? Here we go. Let's reach one side, and then all the way down. And just keep constant movement here into your lunge. Transition to the front. Toes up if you're going all the way down. Switch sides. To your lunge. Okay, step yourself back into your triangle. And then swing it around, turn out the feet. Let's go over to the other side. Here we go, reach. And all the way down. Bring it around to your lunge. Walk it around to the front. Switch sides. Bring it to your lunge. Step your feet in if you need to get to your triangle. And then swing it all the way back around to the top and rest. Alright, cool. Let's come down to sitting. Oh, actually, one more standing series. We're going to do a little bit of a, okay, you're going to find a bit of a tandem stance. So feet don't have to be fully tandem, right in front of the other. They can be hip width apart. And the size of the step is just kind of a regular walking step. Not too big, just a little guy here. Keep your feet parallel along two tracks. And we're going to bend forward over your leg, but you're going to use that vantage point to check in with your knees so that when you're bending them, they're not swinging inward or turning out too much. They're just going directly over toes. Okay? So we'll find our little stance here. Make sure your feet are parallel. And then drop your weight forward. If you're able to touch the floor, do it. Otherwise, you can use blocks or just hold on to your leg, or, you know, if you've got furniture around you just for stability, please do use that. Find your position, and all we're going to do is little knee bends here. Little bend and little stretch. So as you're down here, you're checking in with your knees, making sure they're tracking over your toes. You can take this slower, of course, to make sure that you are doing everything exactly as needed. Check in with your ankles, that they're not rolling in or out. Check in with your back heel. See if you can keep it parked, keep it planted. And then every time you extend through your hamstring, you're going to find that pull up and around. Like your sits bones are trying to carve up or even over every single stretch. And try and keep your neck relaxed. Keep checking everything. It can help to try and splay your toes out to ground a little bit more firmly. Last few here. Keep curling up even more every single extension that you find. Alright, go ahead and bring the feet together. Take this moment here. Roll yourself up. And then switch around to the other side. Find this position again. Parallel along two tracks. Hip width apart, roughly. Small step. Go ahead and tip over. Find your support if you need it. And then as you start moving through these, you can start small at first. You're just checking in, one body part at a time. So let's check in with knees, make sure that they're tracking over toes. And go ahead and check in with ankles, make sure that they're not twisting or rocking too much. I mean, they probably are moving, but see what you can do to stabilize them when you notice. And check in with your back heel, make sure that it is planting into the ground. And go ahead and slow down these bends to start to think more about the extension. So take your bend and then find that rubber band stretch all the way up and out toward the ceiling, like your tailbone is trying to lift off. And head is heavy, neck long, back of the neck stretching, shoulders relaxed. keep checking in bit by bit with everything that's going on. Couple more here. And then go ahead and bring feet together. Take a little bend, roll yourself back up. Okay, now let's come to sitting. So we're going to take a little butterfly stretch, or a butterfly position rather. Nice and tall. And I'm going to actively press my feet together. So the goal here is not to get legs in super tight, just find a comfortable butterfly. Feet pressed together super tight. We're going to try to maintain this pressure between the feet. All right, and sitting tall on top of your sits bones. In this position, all we're going to do is dive. And this is, you know, a little bit different from your standard kind of nose to your toes type of thing. I want you to actually dive. So get this roller coaster image in your head of starting at the top, tipping over the edge. This is all still nice and tall. You're riding down this big slide through, and then as you come up, this all stays low, following in an arc. Resist coming up with your belly for as long as you can. When you arrive there, same thing, chin tucks first, belly stays out, and then gradually, bit by bit, you're rolling through your whole spine to get there. So it's like a snake action. This might be easier or harder depending what kind of activities you're accustomed to doing. So let's just keep that tight pressure between the feet and try this transition out. So ready? Here we go. Let's dive forward. Front. And totally take this at your own pace, because like I just mentioned, it's going to feel a little bit different for everybody. So it's not necessarily a stretch, it might be at some points, but just mobility. So be really mindful of not moving anything earlier than it needs to. Head is kind of leading the way here. Everything else lags behind. So the head is going, but my chest is still up, my belly is still up. The low belly is still up even as my head starts to come down. And the same thing when you're extending. Let's do our last one here. All right, let's recover. So this was a lot of moving kind of past your base of your spine here. So we were pitching way forward and way back. And this is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to try and keep shoulders stacked on top of hips. This is where I'm starting to incorporate a little bit of Graham technique. So these stay nice and lifted, but you're going to find a little bit of a contraction just here. Not sucking in, but everything is buckled, okay? Buckled in here. There's buckled, and you're going to buckle it a little bit extra, so your mid-back kind of pokes through. If you can imagine something just going through to shift this section. You're creating a bit of a little triangle, little angle through the mid-back. Hips stay vertical, so I'm not rolling them under. They stay pretty tall, pretty lifted. It's just up here that I'm finding that. And this upper, ray of the angle, your head can follow. All right, after we find this, we're going to unfurl everything from the center point back to straight up and down. And shoulders are not going to swing back behind the hips at any point. They're staying right on top, and then they're staying right on top still. So feet pressed together. Let's just cycle through a couple of those. It's so small, it's so little, but this is going to come in handy later. So go ahead and take that little contraction and then unfurl, release. Again, find that little poke through the mid-back and then release out from the same. Contract, release, and keep going. Contract, release. When you release, it is kind of like a wave from that center point. So pull it back and then lift up from that point. Pull it back and then lift up. Let's try a couple of little back conditioning little exercises in this theme. So keep the feet pressed together. We're going to start with that contraction. So we find it, little contraction. Then we're going to create an arc through the spine, head dipping forward. It's not that I'm trying to get low. I'm creating a little tunnel with my body. So we have our contraction first, then we make our little tunnel, then we release it. In this position, it's now a flat back position, and this might be at a different level depending on, you know, how much range you've got there at this time. And then we lift up. All right? So we have our contraction, dip forward, release, and lift. This is our cycle. Contract, dip forward, head, release out of it, vertical, shoulders stacked. Keep going, release. And keep going, contract. Find that little pin cushion back. Release, lift. Keep going. Release. And last one here, contract. Dip forward, release, and lift. All right, rest. Let's come to seated this way. We'll just do a little basic hamstring stretch to take a pause from this. So I'm going to go on an angle here just so that I am fitting into the screen. And you can square your hips to your extended leg for more of kind of a back of, you know, real true hamstring area stretch. Or if you want to take a more of a straddle version here, as if you're doing your typical ballet class, you know, halfway through stretch, and go over the leg this way, go for it. Do your thing. I'm going to stick with basic hamstring. So I'm going to go squared to my front leg, knee is up, toes are up. Keep everything nice and stable and protected. And as you go forward, see if you can find a flat back position first, just to solidify this. All right, so you've found the extension, the release point here. Find it, know where it is, know how to get there, and then you can go over your leg a little bit more. But whatever you're doing, wherever you're holding on to support yourself, see if you can find your way back to that extension, that release that we just worked on. Okay? So just know how to get there. You're probably not always going to be in a flat back position doing this stretch, but know the way. Because that will improve your alignment when you're doing these stretches, to try and be able to access that flatter back position. If you're down here and you're holding onto your foot, you can always press into your hands with your heel more to keep that nice and active. You're finding that big extension all the way through your leg. You'll probably feel a little bit sore. And of course, if you'd like to, especially if you're doing the more straddle version, you can do little knee lifts. I've got my knee bent here, and keep pressing out. And then lift off and try to press it out. Your version. Take a couple more moments here. And again, even if you are curled over, just keep reminding yourself how that release happens from that center mid-back kind of core position, unfurling out from it, keeping neck nice and long. And go ahead and recover. Bring yourself through. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So you choose either a squared off position this way directly over your thigh, or more of an open kind of straddle position here. So if you're doing this guy, you kind of do those little lifts off and get a little bit of an extra split there. Otherwise, let's go forward. And before you go anywhere, try to find that flat back. Even if you're really far away from your leg, just find it. Remember how to get there. Remember those little contractions and then a little release to get to your flat back. So go ahead, find your position that is where you need to work today. And even when your back is curled over, just know how to get back to the flat back. And if you are holding onto your foot already, see if you can press your foot into your hands. If you're out here on the ankle, you can kind of imagine that leg pulling through your hands and heel pressing out. If you'd like to go for the knee bends, go ahead and try a couple of those and find the extension. Otherwise, definitely just take a moment to try and imagine that energy coming out of center. Neck as long as if you're doing that release. Alright, go ahead and recover. Come on back. And let's go ahead and find that straddle position. Let's kind of knock knee a little bit to relax for a second. And then we'll find that straddle. So this does not have to be like a wow, side split, amazing stretch or anything like that. Just find a straddle that you can support yourself in. Because we're not like stretching our inner thighs right now. This isn't groin day. This is kind of hamstring, mid-back sort of spine mobility day. So find a position where you can sit tall, meaning you are on top of your sits bones. You can feel them pressing down. You're not leaned back. Sorry, my cat's in the way. You're not leaned back and just sinking into your squishy glute area. You're trying to sit tall. You should feel your pelvis nice and vertical. So in this position, I want to do those same kind of snaking through roller coaster dives that we did in our butterfly. You can use your hands to support yourself, but also let's use our thighs to support ourselves. So toes are up to the sky, knees are up to the sky. If that means you need to take a smaller position, please do. It's more important that this is correct than that your legs are, completely splayed open. So find a position where you're able to maintain those things. And then every time we dive forward, you're going to support yourself even more by trying to rotate your thighs back like they're pulling up and around and being pinned into the floor behind you, that away. So arms can be in this arc here, or you can take fingertips to the floor just in case you're afraid of face planting as we do this. So let's find that roller coaster down, and then snake it back up. And every time you do this, your thighs are rolling open behind you, and they're supporting you, but you're also maintaining that knee up, toes up position. So as you dive forward, it's your torso doing this, not your toes diving forward as well. If you find that your legs are rotating a lot and falling forward, take a smaller position. Alright, so same thing here. We're going to work on just those tiny little contractions. So find your seat, nice and vertical. Try to keep shoulders stacked on top of hips as you find this little pinch back. I haven't bent over. I'm still basically as tall as I was before, but I've just created a little bubble here by imagining my spine just kind of floating back a little bit through the center area. So find that little bubble, okay? And then I unfurl from here. Both directions I'm opening up to find that release. So we've got our little contraction and release here. Let's try through a couple of those. going, contract, release, and again. And it's so small. Keep shoulders stacked on top of hips. Okay, let's try the same sequence we did before. So we're going to find your contraction. You're going to find that little cave. You're going to release from there and then sit yourself up. So we find our little contraction first. Make your little cave. Release from there and then sit tall. You can keep your arms working here. If they get tired, you can always, please move, I'm trying to do my series. If they get tired, you can always just, take them to your legs or use fingertips to slightly support yourself on the floor. I hope you're still moving, because I could not. My cat was in the way. All right, let's continue. We go contract, make your little tunnel, release flat back, and then use your back to lift yourself up. Meanwhile, thighs are still doing the same work here. They're keeping you supported and pressing into the floor. Let's try to go quick. Contract. Make your tunnel. Release. Sit up. Contract. Make your tunnel. Release. Sit up. Again. And last one here. Contract. All right, good. All right, rest. Take your legs in. Give them a little break. Here we go. So we're going to find a position that is maybe hip width apart. You can go a little bit wider. Just for a moment, we're going to try and find a bit of a twist. Just to kind of figure it out. This isn't like really part of our stretch. This is more part of a prep for a stretch. So find your hip width apart position. You're going to sit tall. You're going to try and twist through that mid-back, so maybe even imagine that little bubble first, so you've got more range to twist. Find the twist and then slice toward, along the same line as your foot. I'm going to try to keep these both nice and vertical. If you've got a lot of twist, you can reach past your pinky toe. Alright, but don't push it. Go as far as you are able to go. Otherwise, things are going to come out of alignment. So find that little twist. And then slice past or toward. And this is just for you to work this range of motion a little bit. No particular goal here just yet. So just take a couple of those to find that path of travel. Let's do one more here to even it out. Alright, and now let's prep for our actual exercise that we're doing in this position. I'm going to go slightly diagonal just so you can see more what I'm doing, but I'm sitting in the exact same position. I've got my hip width, maybe a little bit over hip width apart feet. Toes are up to the sky. I'm going to start with one leg, grab it with my opposite arm, and I'm going to pull it up into my armpit. Okay, this is our starting position. So you're finding this. You're going to try to keep your feet as parallel, or your legs rather, as parallel as you can, working through this. So we're going to find extension here. Just watch that as you're doing this, your knee is not falling inward or out. You're just trying to keep it going straight forward, all right? So find this position. You're going to pull out from center like you're shooting an arrow. This is your bow you're holding onto here. You can grab your arrow and pull it all the way back. So this is a big extension front, and at the same time a big, huge twist to the back. And everything goes. Arm goes, shoulder goes, head goes, everything all the way around. This doesn't have to be a full extension. Wherever your range is, even if it's to here, work there. But try to find that lift and twist, maintaining this little contraction. So we'll do 4 counts like that to extend, 2, find the big twist, 3, whether your leg extends all the way or not, and then bring it back in, but try to avoid this little jump. Soft. Keep going out. 2, 3, 4, and then resist as you come in. Make it nice and soft. Twist back into the starting point. Again, push out. Lift up and twist. And then resist a little pop to pull it back in. And then out. 2, 3, 4, and back. 2, 3, 4. We're going to do one more, and you're going to hold it out. It doesn't have to be at the end range, just at some point along this path where you think you can maintain it and hold on to it for a little bit. All right? Always knowing that you can come back to the safe space here. But see if you can find a point where you can kind of challenge yourself, push yourself just a little bit to, you know, stick with it, even though it's not a comfortable stretch by any means. And then go ahead and come back. Okay, take a second, give your legs a hug, and reset to the second side. Find your hip width apart or slightly wider position. Next leg is coming up into your armpit. Grab with the opposite arm. And imagine that bow and arrow, and truly imagine it. Grab onto something and really pull it out behind you. That imagery will create more of a twist and more of a powerful motion. So let's go with it. Use the images. Let's get our bow. Let's get our arrow. Let's pull it out for 1, 2. Head goes all the way. And then softly bring it back in. It's like you're doing a big giant clap. And then go. Pull it back. 2. Big twist. Bring it back. Pull out. 2, 3, 4, and then all the way back in. And then last one here. Here we go. Pull it out. Sit a little bit taller. And pull it in. Okay, last one. We're going to find and hold somewhere along the way. Never has to be full extension. Just find a spot where it's like a little uncomfortable, but you think you can hang on to it. And if you need to come back to a more, kind, gentle position, do it. And go ahead and bring it all back in. Okay, give your leg a hug. Both your legs a hug. And let's come to standing for a little bit. We'll do one more kind of standing exercise here. All right. We'll take feet parallel. And we're going to purposely roll out onto one ankle. We're going to stretch through the peroneals, kind of through the side calf. So purposely roll. Purposely supinating one foot here. You just rock yourself forward. It doesn't matter at this point what your back is doing, just let it hang. Hopefully this is a little bit of a release stretch just to hang out here. And really do drop your head. Let it hang. Look at the wall behind you. Shake it out. Let your shoulders just kind of hang out and stretch here. If you want, you can grab onto them. But more importantly, let's focus on this side calf here. So hopefully you're down here, you feel a stretch through the side of your calf. But if you need a little bit more, go ahead and bend the supporting leg. Little bends, just like we did earlier in our tandem stance, tandem-ish stance. Take little bends there, but be gentle. I would advise not to try and bend your leg that's rolled open, just because it's already in a less stable position to start with. But if you're feeling anxious here about this knee, just engage your quad up here.
you know, pull up that knee a little bit to hold it in place. Don't lock it necessarily, but just, you know, engage your quads a bit to hold it. You'll probably start to feel that stretch a little bit more even as you're pulling up these muscles. And just be really, really careful with this. And always can have something to hold on to. But this is, again, at your own pace. Take your time. Do the version that needs to be done for you. What are you doing, friend? She's in a weird mood now. She's like kind of hyper and chaotic. Alright, let's switch the feet. So replace that foot. You can come up a little bit. Let's roll the other foot out onto the side. Sure, she's going to help me by leaning against it. Thank you, friend. And just go over the leg. Might feel totally different on this side, but find that stretch through the side ankle and side calf. And if you need a little bit more, take the supporting leg into a couple of plies, a couple of little bends. And to stabilize, make sure that your thigh is engaged up here. Try not to wobble or bend through this knee too much without all this also working. So just check in with your head as well. Make sure that you're not holding tension in your neck. This isn't about the neck or back or shoulders, so let them just fall down. You can do this all just by feeling out with your legs. Let's do a little bit more here. Okay, replace that foot down. Let's do a couple of little folds. Yes, I know. Okay, I'm going to face side just so that you can see my flat back and everything that I'm doing here. So just take hip width apart feet. Find this little folded position. And let's just come halfway up to a nice flat back. Shoulders are lifted, neck is long. We've worked on this flat back position a whole bunch today. And then sink it down. Take a little knee bend. Relax for a moment. And then come back up halfway. And then relax down. Take a little knee bend. And let's just do one more here. Halfway lift. And then bring it down. Alright. Let's finish up on the floor here. We're going to take my usual kind of piriformis medial glute series that I do in class. I'm going to bring it into this class too. Let me reset this thing a little bit. Alright. I'm going to start, however, with my leg extended instead of the usual. Usually I start this in like a pretzel position. Let's take leg extended. Let's cross this one over just about knee level, around here. And then we're going to find that little bubble before we twist here, and then let's twist around. You can hug this leg in without pulling it over, just kind of holding onto it, or you can slide your arm behind it to broaden that twist if you've got that range. I have not, at least not on this side. So find that little bubble and then twist yourself around. You can reach the arm up and over or just open like that arrow. Up to you if you want to take this more as an actual medial glute type of stretch or more as just another spine mobility reminder and trying to fly that arm open. And then go ahead and bring it back around. I'm going to stop that, friend. Let's take our legs, let's stack them up like so. Or if this doesn't work for you, you can do crisscross or butterfly. Any of those is a good option. So here we go, let's find this. We're going to swim forward and back like I typically do in my classes. However, we're going to create this into our roller coaster wave snake slide situation. So as you swim forward, use the head to go first. Slide down and around and up. Alright, that should feel hopefully nice, like a little massage all the way along your back and probably for your insides too. And then one more time here. And let's arrive, reach arms up, and then take that flat back forward, final flat back. Well, first side anyways. Find this position before you let it go. Drop it down. Okay, let's walk the hands over to one side. Keep on reaching. Try to do this without letting your hip fly off the floor, especially if you're doing this in a butterfly position. And then switch over to the other side. Again, try not to let your opposite hip fly off the floor. Then come back to the center. Roll yourself up. And let's reset to the other side. I'm going to go slightly diagonal so you can see what I'm doing. Find this position. Find that little bubble here before you start to twist. And if you want to, you can take that arm around the knee and twist yourself more. So up to you if you want to do this, again, always as like just a bum thing, or as a spine thing. Kind of does both. Alright, let's bring it back. You can find your position, either stacked or crisscross or butterfly. It doesn't have to be the same as whatever you did on the first side, because you are different on both sides. And let's do our little swim dives to the front 4 times in a row. Here we go. Find your little roller coaster. And take your time, try to massage through. Imagine that you are rolling on a roller through your spine. And one more time here. Let's go ahead and take that big reach front, flat back. Find it first and then let it go. Let's walk the hands over to one side. Again, try to keep the opposite hip from flying off the floor. And then other side. And go ahead and bring it back to center. And roll it up. All right. Stretch your legs out, give them a little rock and roll in and out. Get some of that rotation. Give them a little jiggle and a little bit of a shake because they're probably tired of being stretched out. And we'll finish just with a little bit of a head stretch. So you can do this seated on a chair. You can do it standing. You can do it on your knees. Your choice. Pick whichever one works for you. I'm going to go on my knees just because easiest with camera angles. Wherever you are, let's find a way to secure your arm. Sorry. So you can either squish it with your leg or your bum. You can hold on to the bottom of your chair, or if you're standing or anywhere, you can put it behind your back. We're going to do a regular, stretch this way, but I'm going to add 2 little cues to focus on here. So first cue, well, first of all, start sitting tall or standing, whatever. First cue, let's tuck the chin back a little bit toward the back of the neck, like you're making a froggy face. Then second cue, we're going to use the sternum here and just lift this up. Not out, just imagine using this big shift up here to lift yourself more. And you've got your froggy face. Then, given those two, let's pull the head over to the side. And take your time here. Depending on your situation, this may be a really tough spot. It really is for me. So, let's take our time here. You can always move it around here too. And keeping those two cues in mind, let's go ahead and pull it around to the front, slowly. And then recover yourself. Same thing to the other side. Figure out where you need to put your hand, underneath your body or chair or behind your back. Sit tall. And then let's find those two cues here. So let's tuck the chin back into your froggy face, and then let's take the sternum here. You can really like put your hand on it to try and, as you kind of lift your hand, your sternum comes up to meet it there, like they're magnets, okay? Use that little lift and chin tucked back. And then here we go, to the side. Tip it over. And then whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and carve it forward slowly. Alright, roll it up, relax, give your head a bit of a shake and a roll. Relax your body. Hopefully everything feels a little bit gooier. Hopefully through your spine you found a little bit of range today, a little bit of, I don't know, extra flow. Hamstrings probably, you know, it's hard to stretch the hamstrings. But I feel like you cannot stretch the hamstrings without also involving the back, the low back, the mid back. The hamstrings do go up all the way in there, so if you can get some spine range going, you can get some hamstring range going. And a lot of it doesn't have to be just static stretches, just these glides, you know, your nerve glides are going to help with that range of motion too. So keep on gliding and grooving and kind of just moving on through things. Doesn't always have to be basic stretching. Movement is good. So, alright, this was really long, so thank you. I hope you enjoyed. We had our lovely visitor here joining us for the class, which is great. A little bit of a nuisance sometimes. Alright, see you guys later. Bye!